Redwood's strength and durability represent the beauty of nature. From decking and siding to pergolas and arbors, redwood lumber, patterns, trim, and timbers elevate any space with enduring warmth and elegance. Building with redwood also benefits the environment. That's because redwood lumber is sourced from Forest Stewardship Council certified timberlands in Northern California that are growing for the future and sequestering carbon dioxide. For redwood architectural specifications, project inspiration, where to buy, and more, please visit getredwood.com. Upgrade your home's exterior with Exceed Siding by Versatex. Engineered for unmatched durability and a sleek, modern aesthetic, Exceed provides a high-performance, weather-resistant shield that outlasts traditional materials. The ultimate low-maintenance choice, Exceed's advanced polymer construction resists rotting, cracking, peeling, paint, and fading. Lightweight 16-foot boards, nail hem brackets for tight joints, and the VZD drop lock system for solid straight lines make installation faster and easier. Plus, with a built-in color cap, there's no need for routine painting. For a premium finish that stands the test of time, choose Exceed Siding by Versatex. The folks over at Danner have been building boots here in the USA for nearly a century. Their factory in Portland, Oregon, is staffed by skilled boot makers from all walks of life. They show up every day to build boots worthy of the toughest workers in America. Every tool used expertly to its fullest capacity with honor and trust. The integrity that they build with speaks for Danner's legacy of quality. Find boots built in the USA over at danner.com. Our next question comes from Scott. Hey, podcast crew. So I have an 1880s Philadelphia row home. The stairs are extremely creaky. The stringer against the wall is a pocketed 1x board that is broken apart, and the stairs are pulled out of the 1-inch pockets. I can't possibly find the time to rebuild the original stairs, which are in otherwise good shape. I can't conceptualize a way to slip in a full-length stringer in from underneath. So my plan for repair without tearing out the stairs is as follows. I'm going to tapcon a single 2x4, old growth, so it's an actual 2 inches, which is the gap from the brick to the inside of the old pockets. I'll use 3/8 by 6-inch tapcons every 8 inches or so, and I'll clear the old plaster to ensure good contact with the brick. I'll cut 2 8-foot old growth 2x12s into 2 stringer segments. I'll place adhesive between the stringer and the treads and risers and attach the 2 stringer segments with 4-inch structural lags into the 2x4. I'll then sister a 16-foot length of 2x6 ripped to width along the inside of the stringer segments. Copious shims, adhesive, and pocket screws will help secure the treads to the stringers. Then I'll install a 6-person hot tub in the middle tread. And then we'll go along with our lives. Are there any ways I can increase the strength of the split stringer? A notch splice in the middle? Should I place the joint away from the middle of the span, like 10 feet and 6 feet? This comes from Scott, the owner of Fishtown Handyman LLC. So what do you guys think of Scott's approach to fixing the stairs in his townhouse? What do you think, Casey? How do you like this idea?
I mean, that'll work. When I look at this situation, and I didn't see him describe it, but like that house stringer, normally when I see a set of house stringers for a staircase, they're 5/4. They're a little bit thicker. But with that 1x, I'd be curious to see, like, for one, it sounds like this staircase is pretty long, but is that 1x stringer in pretty good shape? Are there any cracks in it? Is it bowed along the length? Because if it was in pretty good shape and like no cracks or anything, like if you want to tapcon that to some structure for support, I think is a good idea. But what I've found that has worked pretty well is just taking like a bunch of blocks, like 2x2 blocks, and you glue and screw them to all the connections that you see underneath, from tread to riser, from riser to stringer, from tread to stringer. And it's amazing once that glue sets up how sturdy that is, and it would help prevent some of those creaks. you could use pocket screws if stuff has started to pull away, but with that house stringer, you get a lot of strength from it being, and I know he said it pulled out of the pocket, but that riser provides a lot of structure like that. That's how you can, that's how these staircases are so solid. So if that house stringer was in good condition, you can secure that. I'd almost be tempted with just a bunch of blocks in order to make those connections stronger.
If I can paraphrase, you're putting little ledgers under each on the wall end of the tread and on the wall end of the riser, right, to secure those pieces, right?
Yep. And they don't need to be like full length. You can cut them into 3-4 inch long pieces. That doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be full length, but just everywhere that it, just like you said, every connection, I've done that, not a ton, but enough times to like, that makes it really sturdy.
I think little pieces of rectangles or triangles of 3/4 inch plywood would also work similarly. What do you think about this plan, Grant?
Yeah, I would say, I would up that to an 8-person hot tub. I don't see why to stop at 6. No, yeah, I from what Scott's described, I think it will work for sure. Another possibility I would think is maybe this is a spot where, referencing back to our last question, I wonder if he couldn't maybe use some plywood somehow, which might be easier to shape these. Because it sounds like, if I'm understanding him correctly, it sounds like what he's trying to do is, it looks like the treads are kind of pulling out of the pocket stringers. So I wonder if he couldn't, it might be easier to template plywood to slide up in there underneath the edges of the risers as well. I don't know. I think he's got a good plan though. I think in terms of the situation he has, I can't think of a much better way to do it. So
I was talking to Casey ahead of the show, and like many house flippers or less experienced GCs with the nuances of old houses would rip this out and have a stair company build a new stair just to have it done in what amounts to a few hours on site, right? But someone who has carpentry chops, this is not a big deal. I think you could easily strengthen this to make it serviceable and not squeaky.
yeah, based on the pictures, the wall looks in great shape. The brick wall there looks in good shape. So I'm sure he could figure something out, like an as he described, to support it off the wall from below, and then essentially he's shimming or putting templates in to support in place of the stringer. I think he's on the right track.
As my understanding, Scott's written to the podcast at least once before, and he works on these row houses with some regularity. And working on these things fascinates me because there's likely another person on the other side of that masonry wall, and you're like drilling tapcons into it while they're living there. Have you had to deal with this, Grant? Like, how do you make friends with the neighbor on the other side of the wall so they don't hate you?
Show up with Starbucks in the morning. No, yeah, I met Scott at the Philly Building Science Symposium, and he showed me some crazy pictures then about things he's worked on, and so when I saw this from him, it didn't surprise me. Yeah, I think you have to, and then you also had to say, hey, would you mind taking all your valuables off the wall, because that's a bad day too when you knock grandma's cuckoo clock off the wall.
If this was my project, it would be like a collection of Fabergé eggs on shelves on the other side of it. I can just imagine.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but I think most people, if you're reasonable about it, you're reasonable with the time frame, you're reasonable either helping them with relocating things, or I think I'd like to believe most people will still be neighborly and understand what you're trying to accomplish.
What do you think, Casey? Any tips for making friends with the neighbors?
I mean, it's what you guys have talked, like the communication. You have to tell them that you're going to do this work. I think goes a long way, and tell them the hours that you're planning on doing this work. Don't surprise them at 6 a.m. Like, you told them you'd be working on it, but then it's just odd hours. But I think communicating with them, I think they would be very understanding. Yeah, great point to take things off of that wall. And then, yeah, Starbucks, gift cards, something at the end, just being very thankful for, kind of working through that process. I mean, it goes a long ways.
When we were building houses and Habitat for Habitat for Humanity in Pittsburgh, and I say we, I mean my wife and I, the neighbors were our best advocates as far as maintaining an eye on the place, keep an eye on our projects so they weren't broken into and have, pipes and copper wiring stolen and tools. And as you guys suggest, just telling them what's going on it goes a long way and is a huge help in allowing them to be on your side. If they're surprised, it's very difficult for folks to want to help you out. We had folks provide us power and water on occasion because we need to. One person let us store bags of fiberglass building insulation in their garage, awaiting a big work day because we couldn't keep them in the building because it would get stolen. So they can be a huge benefit to your projects, and it's nice to make friends with those folks anyway. Also, great referrals, I might add, if you're making them happy, boy, that goes a long way into your for your trustworthiness for them to recommend you to other people and hire you for their own projects. Have you ever had a mishap with a neighbor, Grant, like where they were really mad at you?
Not that I can remember, no. I've always tried to be really, really good about talking to neighbors ahead of time. Um, the only one I can have was not really a mishap with the neighbor, but just the guy just couldn't understand that like this storm line we were digging up like was getting moved and we would take care of moving it. But he was just so worried about his stormwater that was coming across an easement on a property. This was back in my commercial life. I don't know if I'd say mishap. He just got really upset, even though we explained multiple times, like, hey, like this is going to be relocated. Your stormwater is going to be connected to where it's going anyway. It just has to go about 50 feet that direction. But yeah,
It's easy for folks who do this every day to see things as easy, whereas the disruption and the worry over that change was too much for that guy, I'm sure.
yeah.
What do you think, Casey? Bottle of wine, gift cards. Have you ever had to make friends with a neighbor you angered?
Luckily, I don't remember angering any neighbor. I mean, at least for us, like when you did remodeling, the main reason that neighbors didn't like you is because the trades would take up parking.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just conversation, just again, communicating. I haven't personally ran into like really big issues. It's just, you need to clear the air and just be very upfront. The only thing I remember when I was just a couple years into remodeling, that working upstairs on the second floor and doing some demo, and then all of a sudden I hear a crash, and I was like, well, what's that? And then come to realize, walk downstairs, and like a ceiling mounted light just fell. I mean, it wasn't like super, it was a big box store type of light, like a big globe, but it was like, oh, like I was so young. I was like, okay, learning lesson. Whether it's a wall, whether it's a ceiling, you really have to make sure to know what's on the other side.
That's a good advice for life. We should end the show on that note. Casey, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great talking with you guys.